So if you don't want to be on camera, stay out of Caroline's line. But we are going to record it and post it after the fact for parents. Does anyone want the presentation in Espanol? Because if so, Ms. Sandra Garcia will translate and pull a group to translate live while I'm talking. No, everyone's okay? Okay, feel free if I talk too fast or have questions. I know she's coming.
La oración, por favor. Good morning, teachers and students. Please stand up. We're going to begin with a morning prayer. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. My Queen, my Mother, I give myself entirely to you, and to show my devotion to you, I consecrate to you this day. My eyes, my ears, my mouth, my heart, my entire self will ever serve. As I am your own, my good mother. Guard me and defend me. Use me as your instrument. Amen. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Now place your right hand over your heart for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Have an excellent day, everyone.
Knew it. Okay, but now you got to do that with your kids, so that's kind of something special. Thank you all for coming this morning. I want to thank the Parent Association for hosting this morning and for the coffee and pastries, so please enjoy. I'm Michelle Galushka. I feel like I know most of you, but I know some new faces around here. I've been the president at the school this is my third school year, but I've been with Escuela 7 years. I was previously the development director before taking on this role. We've done this presentation a couple times throughout the years. It's just a really nice way for our parent community, our board of directors, our staff and faculty to all just kind of hear where we are as a school, things we're looking forward to, things we're working on, and just kind of what's happening within our school year and our time in our building. So, and I'm just confirming before I start, no one needs Spanish translations. Okay. Sandra is available if you need it. And I'm still learning my Spanish. I will have a pre-K here next year, and I plan to be excellent by the time she goes through the school. Okay, so I'm going to start today by just sharing our mission statement at Escuela. So it's to support and uplift the global community, our families, and our students by offering an education that integrates Spanish, English biliteracy, Catholic values, and academic rigor, and creates equal opportunity for all committed young scholars to become citizens of the world, making a positive change. So, about 4 years ago, we did a rebrand at the school, and this was kind of the mission statement that we all worked on. And so I feel like it still rings true to what we're trying to accomplish. And really this is Mariella and myself guiding principle as we make any decisions within our building, is to make sure that we're staying true to the mission of our school, which I will say we have leaned on a lot in these last year. Okay, so just so you kind of have a feeling of what's happening in our building. This year we have 211 students, so that is an increase from last year. And so we are getting very full in the hallways, and if you came down the middle school hallway while they were putting their stuff away, there's like no extra room in that hallway. So we're really excited with where our numbers are at. We currently represent 35 different zip codes across the Denver Metroplex. For me, that is an amazing fact because it means that A, we're unique, and you all are willing to drive here every day to get your kids to the school. And I think it speaks volumes to your dedication to your child's education and to our program. So that's something that I always point out when I'm talking to folks or educating them about their school, because we provide zero transportation, so it's on you guys. So I think that's a huge commitment. We also have 10 different countries represented within our community, which is really great. And obviously throughout the year, you'll see when we recognize that and how we celebrate each and every different country. My graphs don't show great on this wall, so I will tell you. So the green chart under language, so we have 58% of our current population is native Spanish speakers, which means that's their home language or the language they came into the school stronger at. And 42% are native English speakers at home. Some of you that have kids in pre-K or kinder might wonder why it's off. When we intentionally enroll in pre-K and kinder, where half the class is English speaking at home and half the class is Spanish speaking at home. And what I can say is as you graduate through our program, really once you're in 3rd through 5th grade, if you're trying to be a new family to our school and enroll in those grades, most of those students come from a Spanish speaking home. Because at those grades you're spending half your day learning in English and half your day learning in Spanish, so they have to be able to test in academically in both languages. So that's where really you see that Spanish kind of take over, because that's the majority of the students that enroll later into our program, what their background is. This next chart, and sorry, it's so blurry up there, is the next circle chart is our free and reduced lunch rate. And we actually just got our final numbers and approvals for this year. And so the mission of the school has always been to serve a 50% free and reduced lunch rate. And we are at 50.5% this year. So we really try to maintain that balance of a mixed income within our building. So that's really great. And that is something that as a school and as we enroll is something we really want to stay and maintain to really serve our whole mission here at Escuela. Then this bottom purple graph is just a percentage of tuition. So currently 86% of our families receive some kind of scholarship assistance in order to attend, which is really great. And again, the mission of the school is to make sure that we can be financially accessible to anyone who wants to come and receive this kind of education for their children. I'll just go through some highlights that we had in the last year. So we have now graduated 3 8th grade classes. So over the last 5 years, we have expanded to add our pre-K program and our middle school. So we're really excited to see that our 8th graders are really doing well and exceeding in high school. The top 2 high schools that our students are still attending are Group A Jesuit High School or Regis Jesuit High School. I will politely tell you they are on opposite sides of town. So I know for some of you middle school parents, you're starting to think about that and what it looks like. But those continue to be our top 2 schools. And recently we've had some meetings with the heads of school there and their principals, and they just say how prepared our students are for their curriculum and their program. And one even said that they see that our students have executive leadership skills that they don't see coming in from other students. So I think that really builds volume about, yes, we're academically rigorous, but we're also building leaders. So communication skills, all of that is really important in how we have our kids present themselves. So really excited to get that feedback. We also had a lot of alumni volunteers even at the start of this school year coming back. That's always been a big part of our program. We missed it last year with COVID of them not being able to be in the building. And I'm sure your students maybe have talked about some of them, so it's really nice to have them coming back. And we actually have 2 that are coming back next week to judge the science fair. They won the science fair when you here, went and competed at state, and so now they're gonna come back and be judges. So it's really nice to have our kids come full circle and wanna come back. We also did First Communion and First Reconciliation last year. We had lots of high school visits. We recently had our Independence Day celebrations where we celebrated all those countries. The biggest highlight I think that we have had as a program for the last year is our pre-K program. So when we launched our pre-K, we started out, you get qualified in pre-K or ECE programs on a rating scale. It's between 1 and 5. And when we started and just opened our pre-K, we were a 3. Then we made our way to a 4, and we were told we'll probably never get to a 5 because unfortunately our pre-Kers have to go downstairs. And there were some physical facility things that we just couldn't change about our building. But this last year, Miss Inez and Miss Shelley were like, let's just try for it and see what happens. And I am so proud they got it. So we are in the top 2% of pre-K programs across the Denver Metro. Like, it is a huge deal to get a 5 rating through Colorado Shines. So I am so proud of them. And if you had a student in pre-K last year, you played part in it because they surveyed parents, and we had 100% participation amongst our parent community. And that's a huge piece in getting that rating, was to have that involvement. So thank you to you guys, and thank you for the support to Inez and Shelly last year, because doing all of that virtually was another learning curve for them, but super excited that we're now able to say that we're in the top pre-K programs in the area. Okay, I'm gonna turn it over to Mariella for the next couple slides.
Good morning. Good morning. I hope that you are doing well. I would like, I hold success after COVID, because even the time of the quarantine, and when the kids return, we still see that the students are improving since 2020. Was the time that we started with all these things. You know, I just want to mention that in these two slides, I show two grades, fifth graders and eighth graders. Why? Because fifth graders are the transition from our dual language program to middle school, and going to middle school, that is a big transition for them. And then also the transition of eighth grade, that after to finish with the whole program that we offer in the escuela, they have to go to high school, and we want them to know how prepared they are when they go to the high school. 2 years ago, we used the similar Catholic public schools to compare our student successes. But, this school here, these schools, in their data, some of them show that are incompleted or are not valid. And because most of these schools, they were in hybrid or online learning, and they didn't have the opportunity, to be present in the school like what we were the last year. I would like to start, with fifth grade, and you will see there three data. We have the DRA. I'm sure that most of you are familiar with the DRA, but I will explain you. The DRA is the benchmark test. And this is an evaluation that we took the last year, 3 times in the school year, and they go by levels. And then we evaluate that in both languages from kinder through 7th grade. And these are also in English and in Spanish. And if you see, they are going up when they started in September at the end of February. I'm sorry. Okay. Then we have Aprenda. Aprenda is a standardized test that is in Spanish, and we evaluate math and literacy, and it's all in Spanish. And we evaluate, or we use this exam to evaluate our students in 3rd through 5th grade. And these are the results. Aprenda evaluate more the speaking, writing, oral, and of course listening. And this is the result of the spring. Then the math scores, or the math test, and I'm sure that you hear about the math test too. Also, the appendix just we take one day, one time during the school year. But math test we take twice during the school year. And these are the results of the spring 2020 to 2021. And the math test is a standardized test that we evaluate the individual growth of our students. And this is something that we always pay attention, because we know that there are some students, and I mentioned before that, but there are some students that they can achieve very fast the goals or that, but there are other students who need more support, and it's not because they can, but they need their own time, and we try to provide them with the different kind of resources that they will need to achieve the goals that we establish for our schools. Also, as I think I mentioned that math test evaluate information help us at the end of the school year to see, okay, which needs we need to cover here in the school, which kind of resources our students need to help, them to achieve our expectations, to achieve the goals that we want for each of them. Because as I said, always we have goals for the wide school, for the whole school, but then also we will have goals for each individual student. And after this, when we finish to analyze, the results the last year, we considered that it was very important to start with a new curriculum because we didn't have curriculum literacy in both languages. And it's the reason that right now that we are implementing wonders and maravillas in both languages from kinder to fifth grade. Because this is something that we needed, in both languages, and they will be ready for middle school and help us to fill all the gaps that they are having through this year. And I think, and I'm sure that we will see more progress because right now it's very consistent that we have in both languages. And we have also our extra resources with materials to support not just the students who are in good level, but then also the kids that will need more support or help. The second one is about eighth grade. These are the results of the students who right now they are in high school. As I said, the math test, they take the math test there in eighth grade, and this is in literacy and also in math. It's just in English, and you will see how they go, in literacy, and then how they go in math. And then the last is a Spanish standardized test. It's in middle school, and they took this exam to see how are they doing they're developing the language. Because as you know, we have a dual language in elementary, but in middle school, they have more, they have literacy that we call literatura española, that is just the level that we want to see in other that we see in other Latino countries. But then we have religion that sometimes come in both languages. Also, we have some specials that they do in both languages. But it's not like a dual language program that we have in elementary. But last is something to help us, okay, how much they are developing, through these academic years at the end of eighth grade. And these are the results. And if you see, there are different areas, and they listening, oral, reading, and writing, and the purple bar is overall. Is the overall of all of these areas.
Ms. Maria, can you read us the percentages? Because it's kind of blurry so the parents can see.
Yeah, I have it right here.
Or Michelle?
It's like,
Let me.
oh my gosh, that's smaller than us. One is like 98, and the other one's 90. And the goal for us is 70% of our students being proficient.
I'm sorry, I will use my glasses. No, I can't. Yeah, I don't know if you have questions, Yes.
The 7% of students who remain proficient, are they from Spanish-speaking families, or what's the background of the families of those proficient students?
Yeah. Are both, but it's depending on the language. We notice with this, like through these school years in elementary, of course they are stronger in their own native language. And some of these, more, I'm saying about with the elementary, for example, fifth grade. Like a Brenda, you know this, of course, that the student who speak Spanish, their mom, they are a little bit more than English, It's not necessary that always is like that, but yeah, of course, we have a big percentage. And then also with TRA, depending on the language, because sometimes, we we always evaluate in English and Spanish for each student in third to fifth grade. And yeah, you've noticed that, but the goal is that after, fifth grade, when they go to sixth, during these years, by the end of eighth grade, they are completely, not just bilingual, but they also succeed in English or in Spanish, depending on the exam. Okay? And the other thing is that this school year, talking about the languages, we decided also to implement map test in Spanish. This is something that we will be able to see how confident the students feel, depending on the language, more in elementary, when they take math test in Spanish, and their native language is in Spanish or in English if they are, in their international school. Thank you. Jane.
Just for clarification, so in elementary Spanish, it's kind of 50-50, right? So half English instruction and half English instruction, half Spanish instruction. And then in sixth grade, it transitions to primarily English.
Yes.
For 6, 7, 8. What is the Spanish component in 6, 7, 8? Where does Spanish come in?
Yeah, we have a class that, as I said, we call Literatura Española, that is
Okay.
Spanish, but the level for the Latino countries. And this is something that, of course, reinforces more than, like the language. But then also we have like specials that helps, to continue to support them. For example, PO is in Spanish. And then also with Miss Kelly, both languages too. And like just also to be involved in the environment when we also do the events, celebrations, and things like that, we keep, the both languages. Not like the same level of elementary, but what the goal is that by fifth grade they are in literacy, and then at the end of eighth grade they are completely not just by literacy, but then also capable, to try to understand, have a conversation, write essays, at the level that we're thinking about Latino countries. But yeah, this is the way, how we do in middle school.
And can I just say, as a mom of kids that went through the middle school, that Spanish class is high level. I've seen their homework. I've sat with them. There's some middle school moms here nodding. It's high level. Like, I can tell you, maybe even some of our parents would be like, I can't help you with your homework. I sat there and I've had to hear them reading so it's a high level Spanish class. The curriculum is very similar to that of middle school in Chile or Peru or Mexico. It's a mixture of those three countries. So they're reading like high level novels. So yes, I can tell you, you're fine. You're not missing out on the Spanish. They're taking their Spanish up another level. They're being introduced to higher vocabulary, more complex, and they're reading books by Latin American authors. So it's not a book that was translated and then things don't really translate that well. It's that these are the words that that author actually wrote. So yes, it has my stamp of approval as a mom.
Thank
Well,
you.
and I will say to the point, one of our high schools had to create a native heritage class, essentially for escuela students, because our students could test out of their Spanish. So they created special curriculum out at Regis Jesuit High School for our students.
Yeah. And there is a big group that right now they are in Spanish in the school.
Thank you.
Is that AP literature? We used to teach high school Spanish, so is it AP literature that they added?
No, it's called heritage, right?
Yeah, yeah, it is.
Yes, it's
But all
heritage, so it's a new curriculum, and you're a mom who had a kid in it. You might know better than I do.
Only if they came from Spanish-speaking background were they in that class. Elena was in a regular Spanish class.
Okay, so they did do that.
Yes.
just give her,
I mean, it's like, seriously?
Yes, I know, the level is high, and this is something that also we are, yeah, the good thing here, and I know this, and it's a lot of work right now because it's a new curriculum that is wonderful. You know, I don't know with elementary students, you know, if you notice that the level that they are using right now in literacy is in English and Spanish, and help us to fill all these gaps, you know, because they are learning both languages, but always, you know, there are some things, you know, in that moment that they can miss, but I not doubt that in the future they will get it. But we would like to, you know, help them to build this way, you know, that they be ready for fourth, fifth grade at the end, and then for middle school and when they finish eighth grade.
Perfect. I'm gonna keep, no, you're good. I'm gonna keep going and then we'll open back up for questions.
Oh, yes.
When do they do the testing, like the math testing?
Oh, the math test is just for third through eighth grade. Yeah. And also, sometimes we inform, but I don't want that you feel like, oh, the math test is coming, and you know, no, we don't have, they don't have to study for these exams. It's just to see and evaluate how they are doing with the evaluate, with the, in the different areas that they have.
And you said this year you're starting to do it in English and in Spanish?
Yes.
And it's the math, because math is not, I think it's harder just because it's a lot of word problems. So in third to fifth grade, is it word problems or it's just math problems?
Yeah, it's not.
Okay.
Because it's different like Eureka math.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
In Eureka is like we help them to develop and then also process and then to analyze and see different kind of options that they can go to the result. Help them to think, to be a critical thinker. In the math test, I don't want to say that, but it's more like doing like their own, yeah. And sometimes it's easy for them.
Yeah, because the word problems are a little hard when we don't have Spanish.
Yes. And in third grade also is the big transition too. Because remember, they come from their native language in literacy. Oh, of course in math and the other subject they were in both languages. But when they go to third grade, it's a big transition because they have to do literacy in both languages at the same level. But also we see how they start and then how they improve at the end of the school.
Perfect. So the biggest thing, we all want our kids to graduate high school, right? Like that's the ultimate goal, go on to further education from there. So I am always super proud to share that we maintain a 97% or above graduation rate among our age eligible alum. So that means they're graduating on time, so within the 4-year span of high school. And compared to DPS's graduation rate among their age eligible alums, so that means on time, is 70%. So, and I'm really excited as our 8th graders, our first 8th grade class is juniors now, but as they continue through, I'm really excited to see this number get higher because we were able to keep them longer, give them really good study skills and a really good base for high school, so we're hopeful that that will make this number increase, but still very proud of that. So, this last year, I know we all want to put it behind us, but we're all still masked, so we're not quite there yet. But I do like to find the positives that we were able to have here as a school the last year. So we actually were in person last year for 167 days, which is huge for any school. So I know some of your kids were home with you intermittently in those 165 days, but school-wide, or 167, we were able to stay open. And so far this year, we have only had one quarantine group. So we feel like we are doing a really good job of being able to manage the health and safety of our community within this building. We have not, through the local health department, we have not had any school-wide spread of COVID-19, which is also really great. So the local health department, we have to report anytime we have a case to them, and they kind of come back and say, who are they related to, you know, what grades are their siblings in. They get a bunch of detailed information from us, and they have never said that you have had a spread within your community, which is really great. All of it has been identified from other places or other sources. So that was really huge for us too. From a financial standpoint, everyone in this building knows me kind of as the money person, I guess. But we did get 2 rounds of PPP loans last year, the Payment Protection Program loan. I will say this saved the school in a lot of ways when we had to shut down in March of 2020 and go remote. So our first round has been forgiven. We are in the process. We have no reason to think that our second loan will not be forgiven. But they equal over $600,000 that we got in that. So that is really huge for us to be able to do. Because of that, we had no layoffs due to COVID within our building. And I personally, as an employer, am really proud of that fact. We were able to really be there for our staff and faculty, and in return, they showed up for us. They all were willing to come in every day last year. Our staff, your students may have said they even had me as a sub. I apologize, I am not an educator by trade. But you know, we all just jumped in over these last, I feel like year and a half, and really just did what we need to do to serve our students and our families. We know that you guys had to get back to work, and in order to do that, we needed to be a safe place for your kids to come every day. So really proud of what we were able to do. I did get the question, so I'll address it here as we're talking about COVID. Now that a vaccine is approved for 5 to 11-year-olds, is Escuela going to mandate that students get vaccinated? We are not going to mandate it at this time. We strongly encourage you to consider it and make those decisions for your students and your families. I ask that if you do choose to get your student vaccinated, that you turn in a copy of their vaccination card to the front office. Here's why. Should the school as a whole reach a minimum percentage identified by local health departments, we will be able to have community gatherings all together. We'll be able to do some things that open us up. Maybe get rid of these someday soon. So we are trying to track that. Also, certain grades, like if your student's grade hits that percentage within their cohort classroom, should someone be exposed, that class may not have to quarantine. Which I know for you all is a game changer, right? Like you don't get our call randomly saying at noon you need to come pick up your kid. So that is why we are asking. It's really not for any, like, it won't be shared, it's kept confidentially, but it's really for us, for our numbers information, that when we have to call to report, the local health department does ask how many in that cohort are vaccinated, and we have to have proof on file. So all it is a photocopy of the card. So should you make that decision for your student, we just ask that you put that with Miriam at the front office. And then I will say on the flip side, so as an employer, we are in Denver County. So Escuela falls under the mandate for employees to be vaccinated. And so we are following all that procedure and guidelines and are in compliance with that. So that is also why if you as a parent are choosing or wanting to volunteer in a classroom, chaperone a field trip, that falls under that same mandate, which is why we're asking for parent vaccination cards. Because anyone coming in contact with our students for an extended period of time, we have to be in compliance from the city of Denver. It's really their mandate from the mayor, and so we are following those rules and guidelines as it's been designated to us. Yes.
Is that something you'd like to have now? Like if we are...
Yes, we would love to. Just turn it into Miriam in the front office, and she needs a photocopy of the front and back. And you can just bring it in and we can photocopy it too, so that's fine too.
So you're wanting parent vaccination cards as well?
Yes, if you had any, yes, and that way, should you then sign up for a field trip, the teachers can say, hey, do we have this on file? And we can say, yes, we do, they're good to go. Otherwise, the teacher will reach out and say, hey, if you're gonna be in the classroom or you're gonna come on this field trip and be with students, we have to follow this.
So this is the first time hearing about this. Was this sent out somewhere?
This will be sent out. That's why I'm announcing it here, and then we're gonna put it out.
Correct, so it hasn't been implemented, it hasn't been
No,
come to practice.
for employees it has. We are in compliance with employees and for our volunteers. So anyone who's coming regularly to our building, we have several volunteers, we have all of that on file. So that was all part of phase 1 of this compliance. Phase 2 now is as grades are gonna start doing field trips, asking for parent volunteers within the classroom. Now there are certain exceptions if it's outside for like trick-or-treating. There are exceptions there. So, but if you're going to be in the classroom or traveling with students for an extended period of time, that's where this rule falls into place. And should it have happened already, your teachers will have said, or contacted you before they let you come in. So we have had a few parents come in and they have that on file. Yes.
Is that the same case for students from like Alumni or other, because I know there's other students that are graduated from here or middle school in general that come and visit the kids?
Yes, so so we do have a corporate work study partnership with Arupe, and all the students that they send us are in compliance. Yeah.
Will this stay in our folder and we won't have to give it every year?
We will see that as we go through the pandemic. Right now, the city has not shared with us how they want us to keep track of all of this for the moment. So they have not rolled out that part of their plan yet. So more to come. But yes, we will be keeping them all, and it actually won't be in your student file. We are keeping a binder of them all in a locked cabinet. So that way we have them all in one place. Should the city of Denver come and want to audit us, we have them all right there and don't have to pull them out of individual folders, which is how we have been told by legal to keep this. Yes?
Is this just the initial vaccine or boosters as well? Or?
Right now it's just the initial vaccine is all that we're being asked to collect.
So if we get our student vaccinated, do you need the card for the first time or once they're fully vaccinated?
Fully vaccinated. Yes, it's not in effect until they're fully vaccinated with 2 weeks after their second shot. Okay.
Well, I do have a question about students if they do get vaccinated and they experience symptoms, how would that play out if they have to miss school?
Yes, it would be an excused absence if they are getting vaccinated and that's why they're missing. And you would just communicate that to Miriam in the front. Yes.
Ms. Michelle, have there been any classes quarantined in the last, like this school year? Just in general, have we had a lot,
No, we've had one group quarantined and it's a mix of 2 grades just because of their interaction with each other, but essentially one cohort had to after Labor Day, and that's it. That's all we've had so far.
Yes.
The cold's coming, the windows are gonna have to shut soon, some of the ventilation we're doing, so yes, we're gonna make it to Christmas though, that's the goal. Yes?
When will the drop-off and pick-up in the alley cease?
I don't know that will ever cease. We'll reevaluate it. I will say from a safety standpoint,
It's gotta change.
huh?
It's gotta change.
Well, I will take that into feedback, but it is a safety issue for us, and so we have found that it is much safer to do the drop-off and pick up through the alley, just to keep the students with their teachers longer and put them directly into cars. So it's a safety issue, and that's really outside of COVID. It's just a general safety issue for us. Okay, I'm gonna go to the budget. Oh, I don't know why the bottom of my slide's cut off. Okay, so I'd just like to share our budget with folks. So this is our general revenue of what we bring in a year. I'm gonna change this slide because it's not. Move it up so you can see. Okay, so our revenue is made up of several different components, but the top part is pretty much all fundraised philanthropic dollars. So the annual fund is our biggest. It's over $1 million. That's really what my department focuses on. So Natalie, Caroline, who's recording today, we're really in charge of raising that money. We also do an event in September. We actually were able to do it this year in person called Salute. We've been doing that for the last several years to help us fund scholarships. And this year, the goal was $300,000. We actually grossed over $400,000. So it was a really great year for that event. And then the Parent Association, who is hosting us this morning, who just did the run-a-thon and all of those fun activities, they actually they're part of our revenue line item. So it's about $25,000 that we try to raise through activities, and I know you'll be hearing more about what all they have planned for the year. Then for tuition, we bring in about $500,000. The Denver preschool program is budgeted at 45, but we are grateful to all of our pre-K parents that live in Denver County because you get us this money. And actually this year it is exceeding that budget line, which is great. And then you'll see fees, like your back to school fees, fees for athletics if your kids are participating, field trips, retreats. You'll see before and after school care was not budgeted. We do our budget in March of every year, and so at that point in time we just weren't sure what we were able to do. We are offering after school care and have families taking advantage of that, so that'll be unbudgeted money this year, which is great. And then you'll see the lunch program, so we not only get a lunch program funding from parents and what you pay for hot lunch, but then for families, also we get money through the government for free and reduced lunch. So our total revenue is about $2,300,000, but I'll go to the expense side now. So our biggest expense is personnel. It takes a lot of people to run our dual language program the way we do. Because grades have tutors, we have multiple then teachers and tutors per grade. Our middle school program, we don't just have one teacher per grade, we have specialized teachers teaching subjects. We also still do specials, which is really important to us. I know a lot of schools over the years have maybe cut art, music, PE, but for us that's a core part of our program and able to like bring in culture and community in really great ways. So we keep all of that, but it does cost people. So you'll say that's our biggest line item. It's close to $2 million. Non-personnel is just really what it takes to like function. Electricity, rent, books, textbooks, laptops, all the technology needs for the classroom. All of that is under non-personnel. So we also every year we put depreciation. We do not own this building. We rent it from the Archdiocese of Denver, so we do pay rent. It is below fair market value, so I will tell you we do get a nice discount on it. But because we have a long-term lease, which is why depreciation is in there, the value of the building goes down the longer we're here, so that is just an auditor will come and tell us what that number is every year. We also always budget for capital expense. Every summer I try to do some projects to beautify, to update. Unfortunately, due to COVID, the project we had scheduled for the summer, I'm still waiting for the carpet to come in, but several of our middle school classrooms need a new carpet, they're just ripping up, so we budgeted that, just waiting on the actual product. Like, I'm sure if any of you have ordered anything recently, there's like the never-ending timeline. So we're working on getting that. So our total expenses though are about $2.5 million. So you'll see we're actually operating at a deficit. Why am I that calm about this? Because earlier I shared that we got PPP loans. So this budget deficit was planned. The board was comfortable with it because we have the investments, we have the PPP loans, and it's more than covered. But this makes our goal, and why you'll see why we have to make decisions the way we do. Obviously, we can't keep running at a deficit as a school. And so for us long term, the board really, and myself, are creating initiatives to really make sure that we can keep enhancing our program and producing the best program possible for our school and for our students, and really just making sure we can cover the expenses that go along with that. So I'm going to share a little bit in a second about how we're going to do that. This is just overall facts for everyone. I think I know our teachers always like to know these numbers. So our tuition for a full tuition student is $9,450 for this current year, but our actual cost to educate is closer to $12,000. So it is, like I shared, just because of the tutoring program and the way we are doing our dual language curriculum, it just costs more than a normal one teacher, one class kind of program. But it's an investment that we know works and is worth continuing in. So I'll show our development growth. So the light purple is what we fundraise out of the development office, and the dark purple is scholarships distributed. You will see in 2019, 2020, obviously with the pandemic, we actually raised less than the scholarships we promised, but we really, through the pandemic, wanted to be able to be there for everyone, so we were going to figure out a way to do that. This year, you'll see we are projected to raise over what we'll give out in scholarships, which is really great because it helps offset that non-personnel and those kind of expenses. Okay, the big things that we have focusing on. So even during a pandemic, and we are operated and governed by a board of trustees, there's 22 community members and a parent on that committee, or on that board. They're who I report to directly. And even through the pandemic, they still really wanted to do a strategic plan. Our last strategic plan was really to identify the move to this building and to expand to have pre-K and middle school. We have now well exceeded all the expectations from that strategic plan, so it was really time for us to look at what's next. So last March we sat down, we polled some staff and faculty about different things, and really just kind of looked at where do we want to go, where do we need to go. The biggest thing for Escuela, this is our 22nd school year, we want to get accredited. So becoming an accredited school is a huge process, and we have done a lot of research around what is the right place to get accredited. Some, you send in a bunch of papers, they never come visit, they'll send you a certificate. That's not really what Escuela was looking for. We are an island by ourselves. We're not a true Jesuit school, we're not a Loretto school, we're not part of the Archdiocese. So we really wanted to join a group that would allow us to have access to resources, other heads of schools, staff development opportunities, all these sorts of things. So the place we have identified that we are interested in is the Association of Colorado Independent Schools. Myself and Mariella have actually gone to their conference for the last 4 years, and throughout the years, different board members and folks have joined us. So we have formally submitted our application. So the way it works is we submit our application. I found out yesterday they accepted our initial application, which is great news. They will now come out for a site visit. So they're going to be here in December on site for an entire day, meeting with all different kind of stakeholders within our community. So we will obviously let everyone know when that day is, just so everyone can be prepared, but your kids can act normal. So we're not going to be, they're great kids. So we're excited to show it off. But that team will then come evaluate us for the day. They will then do a write-up for their board through ACIS, and then they have to formally accept us as a candidacy school. So we're hoping by the spring we'll see if we're there. If they don't initially accept us or find something that we need to improve upon before we could get there, we have the opportunity to do so. And we will do that because we are very excited to hopefully get this sooner than later. The actual, though, once you're a candidacy school, it will take us 3 to 5 years to actually get accredited. It's a huge process and a lot of work. And it will involve parent feedback, alum feedback. We'll really do a whole self-evaluation on the school and on the program. So you'll be hearing a lot more about this as we continue to move forward. But I know our teaching staff is really excited. Several of them have done accreditation processes, and it's just really helpful and beneficial to the organization. And then for us, it also puts us at a great level with other schools. So some of the schools in ACIS currently are Kent Denver, Braylon Country Day, Colorado Academy. What I consider a sister school to us is St. Elizabeth's Episcopal School. So it's a really good network of people. St. Mary's Academy is also part of it. A really great network of schools that would just really elevate Escuela in the larger community in a really positive way. The next big objective, we want to keep filling every seat. As I stated earlier, that's sometimes hard to do when kids have to test in later. But capacity in this building is about 240 if we're able to maintain every class full. Our goal internally is to get to 230. We know there's always going to be a seat or two. Personal life, moving, all of that kind of stuff, and sometimes we just can't have kids. Not that there's not interest, but they just can't test in at that specific grade. And so, like I said, we're planning for 2024. This strategic plan encompasses how to increase development and fundraising efforts, how to enhance our programs. So I know Mariella will be doing a lot of work on extracurriculars we offer, what our program structure is. Do we find we need more tutors in certain grades when the kids start learning 50-50? So her and the committee are really going to focus on that. We are also going to focus on marketing. We started a marketing task force to work with Caroline to really put together a plan to get our name out there. I really don't want any of us to ever go out in the community and say, oh, I go to Escuela de Guadalupe, and people be like, what's that? I would like us after 22 years to have better name recognition amongst the Denver community. So that's a really big push for the strategic plan as well over the next 3 years. And then the last one is really just organizational structure. It's not sexy or glamorous, but it's one of those things that myself as a leader, procedure and all of that is really important. So we're going to focus on just kind of cleaning up some of that from like an HR standpoint. We've grown a lot over the last couple of years, and so we're just kind of making sure we have all those things tight and loose end and become a well-oiled machine from an internal standpoint. But that is all I have. I'm sorry we went long, but I appreciate the questions, and I'm here to answer any other questions you all might have. I thank you so much for coming and listening to us. I hope you learned some things that are valuable to you guys as parents. Mariella and I are always available should you have questions, but please reach out. But I'll take any questions anyone has right now. Otherwise, thank you so much, and please grab coffee and pastries as you leave. Yes?
Why isn't the spread out fall under the umbrella of the Archdiocese?
Yeah, that was an intentional decision that our founders made when we started the school, and it's really for two reasons. One, our dual language curriculum, we create our own curriculum, and if you are an archdiocesan school, you have to use their assigned curriculum. We do use their curriculum for our religion, which is how we are identified as a Catholic school, so all of our religion curriculum does come from the Archdiocese. But also, and to quote Sister Susan, who is one of our founders, she wanted to pay our teachers a living wage. And so she didn't want to join the Archdiocese because you have to follow their salary scale. And we just did a comprehensive exam over it, and we actually pay about 22% better to our faculty than the Archdiocese. So we're continuing to live what her goal was in setting that out. So it gives us a little bit more freedom on some of those decision-making things. Yeah.
And this is just more to your comment. I feel like I understand when you say we need to change drop-off. So sitting on the Parents Association, part of our role is to figure out what do parents need and try to help address that from a parent side. So can you just kind of give a little bit more clarity or context as to why the drop-off needs to change so that in case it doesn't, we can still be responsive to what the need is?
It's just a really long, drawn-out process.
Okay, so the time that it takes.
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, people running their vehicles for a lengthy period of time, 30 minutes, 40 minutes, 45 minutes. Cold weather, the weather's a factor, It's cumbersome, it's
Yeah,
annoying.
yeah.
I mean, I'm not afraid to voice mine.
No, it's helpful.
No.
It's super helpful.
I think it's the time. I also think it's the way that everybody is, and you block the streets. People cannot drive by. Like if cars are parked there, they're still waiting there, and then there's no way to get through. So it's blocking streets on several streets. And I pick up through preschool right now, and I love it because I can be in and out within a few minutes. But next year, I'm so dreading it because it takes minimum 20 minutes, probably minimum.
And this is for pickup.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Drop off is totally fine, but pickup something needs to change.
Okay.
When you also have to think of what it used to look like before. I mean, it was also dangerous just crossing the street. People were crossing the street with their little kids, and there's cars that are not seeing you. And so I think that's part of the reason why it was streamlined this way, so that people wouldn't get ran over in front of our school.
Right, and I understand that, but maybe you can do a line pickup, but also close that street off, like ask parents not to go through there to pick up. Do you know what I mean? So that the crosswalk is free. Maybe they come from the back and the side and this side and not use that street to go through the drive-through. Because I do remember it, and I know what you're talking about with the crosswalk, and parents just drive by and the kids run out, and I understand that part. But maybe if there is another teacher there dismissing the students and they see that they're leaving with parents.
Okay. Thank you. And then, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No.
I was just gonna say with the Archdiocese thing, I know you guys are comparing outcomes and performance to DPS, but are you guys comparing to other Catholic schools?
Unfortunately, Catholic schools are not required to report any of their testing data. So most do not share that. I will say right now, I know that they are transitioning their standardized testing as well in Catholic schools. They used to take the Iowa assessment, and I know several have transitioned from that and not replaced it at this time. So we would love to. The data is just not readily available to be shared because independent schools do not have to share that. But we are hopeful as we go through our accreditation process that we will be able to start comparing to other independent schools.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
What about charter schools?
Charter schools are part of that. So we do, so normally those charts for academics would compare to the other charter schools and public schools in our area, because most, I personally like to always compare us to the charter schools that are dual language as well within DPS. I would say the main three we try to follow are Valdez, Sandoval, and Bryant Webster. But they just didn't standardize test it all last year, so they don't have that data to share. So we will hopefully get back to be able to compare after this school year.
And you're just using DPS data?
Yeah, I mean, that's our direct kind of neighborhood for us, yes. But if you ever have interest in other schools, let me know. I like data, I think it's very informative, so, you know, we're always looking for other places to pull information and just see. It's really how we decide what decisions we're making and what directions we're moving.
Yeah. Yeah, I think just because Denver's so unique, right? DPS has tons of different issues going on than a Jeffco, than Douglas County, and I'm wondering, you know, how we compare to those other schools that have access to other resources that DPS doesn't.
Yeah, I could definitely look at that. Jeffco, I know, does have some dual language schools, so we could definitely pull a handful of those as well to compare. I'm not as familiar with the schools in Douglas County, but could definitely see if they have any.
Or just like surrounding Denver Metro.
Yeah.
I will say, I won't keep you guys, or we won't keep you guys any longer. There will be a link coming out on the WhatsApp, just kind of asking parents how the Parents Association can better engage, serve, address. So when you see that link, if you could just take, it's less than 5 questions, I think, right, Jenny?
Yeah.
So, you know, less than 5 questions, just really how can we better serve parent needs and better engage, given that we have COVID and kind of some of the new stuff that, you know, some of the new and exciting stuff that Michelle was talking about. You know, how can we best serve our parent community? So I would just say, fill it out, tell your friends, to make sure that you fill it out so we can, you know, be the best resource possible.
I have one other question.
Go for it.
I know earlier you said we're operating in a deficit. Is this the main way you see us getting out of that deficit, is filling all those seats?
Yes.
Okay.
And increasing, so it's twofold. In the strategic plan, we see us needing to raise more in tuition, which for me is filling the seats that we have that are open. And then also raising more money through development. And we have, I'm unfortunately not at liberty to announce, but we have some exciting things happening on the development front. So I'm very hopeful that we'll be able, and the goal is by the end of the strategic plan, which is in 2024, to be raising $2 million annually just through development.
Okay.
Yes? I know. We never thought we'd outgrow this gym when we moved in. Those that were at the old school, this is way better than what we had there. But yes, we will. We have started to talk about that because we definitely don't want to lose some of our community events once we're able to safely bring them back onto campus, for sure. Yeah.
So Mike, I know you said to raise money through tuition by filling seats, but are you looking at raising tuition too?
We reevaluate our tuition costs every year. So we will look at it. We always start that process kind of in November, and it's part of our budgeting process. So we do look at it. This last year we did not raise our tuition, but we will definitely be looking at that. And we do reevaluate it every year. Anything else? And I'll be here for a while after, so if you have one-on-one or specific questions for myself or Mariella, please grab us. Thank you again to the Parent Association for you all to come. I really appreciate it. Have a great day.
Thank you.